Fourth, we've got several calls on that. What's changed since the last person I talked to?
There's a body.
There's a body inside?
Yeah.
Okay.
Two young children, a 4-year-old girl and a 1-year-old boy, woke up in their Columbus home on December 30th, 2025. They were alone. For hours, they waited in a house that was deathly quiet until a family friend finally broke in and found what no child should ever see. Their parents, Spencer, a beloved dentist, and Monique, were gone. But this wasn't a random tragedy. This was a clinical, calculated execution by someone who had been waiting in the shadows for nearly 10 years. On the morning of December 30th, 2025, several 911 calls were made requesting a wellness check at 1411th 4th North Street in Columbus, Ohio. But why? That morning, Dr. Spencer Tepe didn't show up for work. He was in charge of the clinic at the time because his boss was on vacation. This was completely out of character for Dr. Spencer. Even so, everyone started panicking because they hadn't heard from him. He was incredibly reliable. Always early, always in communication with his staff. But for some reason, that day, when it was time to open the clinic, no one had heard from him. His staff tried to reach him several times, but no one could. Then they started calling Monique, his wife, who would always answer her phone, but not this time. She never answered either. They thought something must be seriously wrong. Then they called their boss to catch him up on what was happening while he was on vacation, to tell him something didn't feel right. Dr. Spencer hadn't arrived yet and they couldn't reach him or his wife. It was already 9:30 a.m. when he should have been there at 8. But their boss immediately called 911 for a wellness check without hesitation. Take a listen to the 911 call, because the 911 dispatcher said to him, "Sometimes people don't go to work," as if they were making a big deal out of nothing. When one calls 911 and just the thought of dialing is stressful, you are concerned and scared. She should have been nicer. Let's listen to the call.
Well, I'm currently in the state of Florida. I'm on vacation, but this individual, Spencer, works with me, and he did not show up to work this morning, and we cannot get a hold of him or his family.
He didn't show up to work?
Correct.
Okay. Did he have medical problems or?
No, and he's been reliable, and we cannot get in touch with him, his wife, his family, anybody that lives in that house.
Okay. So
There's
you're
2
in
kids in the
Florida.
home. I'm in Florida. I own the business. I was informed by my employees that he was not at work, and he runs the office. Have you guys received anything else, like calls about him or like a car accident or anything like that?
No, sometimes people just don't show up to work. I mean,
Spencer Tepe was found dead inside his own home with his wife. Monique murdered as well, while their 2 young children, only 1 and 4 years old, were just feet away in the next bedroom. To everyone who knew him, it made no sense. I didn't know them, and I'm like, what in the heck happened here? You know? People say they weren't the kind of couple surrounded by conflict or controversy. They were deeply in love, devoted parents, and the kind of people who naturally brought others together. Friends describe them as the glue of their community. They were active, generous, and genuinely loved, which is exactly what makes this case so difficult to understand. How do 2 people so admired end up murdered in their own home? What began as a concern quickly turned into a nightmare. When 911 was called, another devastating mistake happened. Responding officers were initially sent to the wrong address. Critical minutes passed before help finally arrived. Take a look.
Yeah, 4-3. 4-3.
We received a call for a well-being check related to the two victims involved in this case. There was an officer that was dispatched to go to that well-being check. Unfortunately, he did respond to the wrong location initially. He went to the wrong location, and in him believing that he was at the right location, he did everything that he was supposed to do. Knocked on the doors, checked the backyard, did all those things, but it was not the right location. Approximately about maybe 40 minutes later, we had received another call because the coworkers of one of the victims stated that they had not reported to work and they were really concerned, so they went to the house, and that's when subsequently the bodies were found of the two victims as it relates to this case. We are working very diligently to try to solve this case. We know that people are concerned, and we know that people have a lot of questions. What we're
Hi, I'm Ada, and this is AMO True Crime Stories. This content is intended for informational and awareness purposes only and includes discussions of real criminal cases involving adult subject matter. Viewer discretion is advised. All information presented is based on publicly available sources. The opinions expressed are my own interpretations of those materials. Any individuals mentioned are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, and viewers are encouraged to conduct their own independent research. The goal of this channel is to discuss cases responsibly, promote awareness, and show respect for the victims and their families. That being said, let's get into the case. Columbus Police made a press announcement update on the Tepes murder case. Take a look.
Mr. McKee was arrested in Rockford, Illinois without incident. He's currently incarcerated in the Winnebago County Jail and awaiting extradition to Columbus. We believe at this point we have the person responsible for the murders of Monique and Spencer Tepe in custody, and that person is Michael McKee. This is still an active and ongoing investigation. Detectives are still going through evidence, tips, and videos. We can't speak to all the specific details related to this case, so we don't want to jeopardize the ultimate goal of conviction. But what we can say, this was a targeted attack. This was a domestic violence related attack. As we know, McKee is the ex-husband of Monique Tepe. We can say that we have the suspect's vehicle on neighborhood video surveillance arriving just before the murders and leaving shortly after. Detectives were able to link this vehicle to McKee. The vehicle was located in Rockford, Illinois, and evidence was found that showed McKee in possession of the vehicle before and after the homicides. We can also say that multiple weapons were taken from the property of McKee. And there is a preliminary link from our NIBIN to one of the weapons that ties it to the homicides.
Spencer and Monique Tepe were found shot to death in their Wineland Park home on December 30th. Now, the autopsy reports are shedding some light on what was truly a vicious crime. Spencer was shot 7 times and Monique was shot 9 times. The autopsy also goes into more details about where they were shot. Spencer's injuries included being shot in the head and neck. Monique was shot in the face once and chest several times. The autopsies also ruled their deaths as a homicide. Monique's ex-husband, Michael McKee, is charged with killing the couple. He's been indicted on a long list of charges, including 4 counts of aggravated murder. McKee, a surgeon, was arrested outside of Chicago. He's currently locked up in the Franklin County Jail. So far, there's been no new court dates set in the case.
That's right. You heard that correctly. I was like, hold on. what just happened, and investigators would eventually focus on someone from Monique's past, her former husband. Monique Sabatorsky married Michael McKee in August of 2015. Both were graduates of the Ohio State University, and after the wedding, they relocated to Roanoke, Virginia, where McKee began a surgical residency program. But behind the scenes, the marriage was already unraveling. Allegedly, according to friends and family, Monique confided that she experienced abuse during the relationship. She described being subjected to forced sexual encounters and emotional mistreatment, all while living far from her support system in an unfamiliar environment. Her brother later shared that those close to her could see the psychological toll the relationship had taken. The impact, she said, was profound, and Monique was determined to escape. About 7 months into the marriage, while McKee was at work, she packed her belongings and left the home. By June 2017, she officially filed for divorce. On paper, the separation appeared straightforward. Records show the couple reached an agreement before filing, and the divorce was finalized within a month. McKee kept the Virginia home, Monique kept her rings, and there were no children or financial support obligations between them. But friends say their reality was far more complicated than an allergy. Even after the divorce, Monique allegedly continued receiving threats from her ex-husband. According to a sworn affidavit, he told her he would find her, move next door, and that she would always be his wife. Police later confirmed Monique never filed a formal report, and court records show she did not seek a protection order. Her family would later say that if they had understood the seriousness of the threats, they would have acted differently. Investigators were also examining vehicle evidence. Court documents revealed a silver SUV had been captured on cameras entering the Wineland Park area shortly before the homicides and leaving shortly afterward. The same vehicle had been observed in the area on other occasions, sometimes displaying different license plates, including one reported stolen. Detectives traced the SUV to a location connected to Michael McKee, including a hospital where he worked. On January 9th, authorities located the vehicle in a hospital parking lot. A sticker visible in earlier footage appeared to have been recently removed. The following day, federal agents arrested McKee in Illinois. Multiple firearms were recovered from his residence, and investigators later stated that one weapon showed a preliminary ballistic match to evidence from the crime scene. McKee waived extradition and was returned to Ohio, where he faced charges, including aggravated murder and aggravated burglary. Prosecutors alleged a firearm equipped with a suppressor was used. If convicted, he could face life in prison without the possibility of parole. He was booked into the Franklin County Jail on January 20th and appeared in court days later via video, wearing a jail uniform and showing little visible emotion. His attorney entered a not guilty plea on his behalf. As legal proceedings moved forward, newly unsealed documents revealed additional details, but also raised new questions. By the time of the alleged crimes, more than 8 years had passed since Monique's divorce. She had rebuilt her life. She met Spencer, the man she would later marry, joking in her vows about the many disappointing dating experiences that came before finding him. Their wedding took place at their home, surrounded by lights, snow, and close family. Together, they created what many described as a picture-perfect life. 2 children, a dog, and a home in a vibrant neighborhood. Spencer worked as a dentist while Monique focused on raising their family. Meanwhile, McKee had continued his medical career, working in multiple states, including Nevada and Illinois. According to court records, however, he was in Columbus weeks before the killings. Surveillance video allegedly showed him near the Tepe residence in December, entering the property while the family was away. The purpose of that visit remains unclear. At the time, Monique and Spencer were out of town attending a football championship game with friends. Spencer later told others Monique had been upset about something involving her former husband. What exactly prompted that concern has not been detailed in court filings. The criminal case against McKee is expected to move through the court system over months, possibly years. Even with a verdict, many questions may remain unanswered. And for the Tepe children, no legal outcome can restore what was taken from them. Their family has made one thing clear: they want justice. They want accountability for the laws that changed their lives forever. This case is a heartbreaking reminder of how the past can cast a long, dangerous shadow. My heart goes out to the Tepe children who are now growing up without their parents. Do you think the 911 dispatchers' dismissive attitude played a role in how this tragedy unfolded? What are your thoughts on the evidence found in the silver UV? What do you think is the biggest lesson we can learn from this tragedy? Why, after so many years, was there some kind of relationship still? Stay safe out there. Let's talk about it in the comments. Thank you for watching. See you in the next case.